Do I need to keep a dedicated cup for you, man?
No,
Like-
I just
Like with your name on it or something? Like the Chad cup.
no. I've got plenty of cups.
Not a dedicated cup like the Chad cup? I think it's a good idea.
I don't think I
It
have
has
a
a
cup.
really good ring to it.
I don't think I have a cup with my name on it. I don't think I needed one with my name on it.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's going to CHAD, just big, Chad.
I've got a lot of
But it's going to wrap around the whole
I've got a
cup.
lot of Holloman trucking cups.
You need a Chad cup.
I've got those.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a cup that just says Chad on it. I don't think I need.
You need a Chad cup.
I don't think I need. I'm trying to think of that. I'm trying to look at that show that I watched on Netflix because it was a real thing.
Like a
It was
Instagram reel or a real thing?
No. It was a recently watched The Boyfriend, American Nightmare. Have you seen that on Netflix? Holy crap.
Series?
You've got to watch it. American Nightmare. It's
Haven't seen it.
legit, real. It's only 3 episodes, like 3 45-minute episodes about a true story that I didn't remember the story. Like a girl gets kidnapped and the boyfriend's like the main suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what we watched on the way to Cancun. And it held my attention. Like I was like, so we watched like the first episode on the flight from Nashville to St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Got off the plane and Haley's like, I guess one of them had not, the other 2 episodes didn't download at home for whatever reason. And Haley said, you're going to have to download those 2 so we can watch the other 2 because it was like, yeah.
You were on it.
Yeah, like murder mystery type thing, but
Yeah.
true story.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and the people involved are interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the boyfriend, the girlfriend that got abducted, like all the people that you need in this thing are in it, and it's good.
So Chad, you have a good weekend, man?
I did have a good weekend.
I heard you went on a little trip.
Yeah, spent the weekend in Cancun.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did it
was
Did
nice.
it take you back to your not your spring break, but your high school trip,
So that is the last time.
senior trip, right?
That's the last time that I set foot in Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
Was a high school senior trip. Haley and I talked about that on the way back to the airport. Like, she went with like the school senior trip, and I think she got homesick and came home early and was like, "This is not for me." I went to Cancun with a group of friends outside of the school trip. Like, we went and did our own Cancun trip. I cannot believe, our son will be 18 in October.
Dang.
And I cannot believe that my parents let me go to Cancun at 18 years old. Like,
Right.
unsupervised Cancun.
Right.
I was
18
thinking
years.
that myself. Like, you're in high school?
Yeah, like my senior trip, I went to,
But you were 18 though,
yeah. I mean,
and that was our generation, right?
this is 1999, so
Yeah.
a little different than today, but holy cow. There's zero chance that I'm letting Baylor go to Cancun with 7 of his buddies unsupervised.
Right.
And I did. And we were unsupervised. Like, one of the funny one of my, I hope Jason Chrisman listens to this. When we landed in Cancun, I looked at Haley and I said, I've got to text Jason and ask him if he knows a good place to get your tongue pierced. Because Jason, at 18 years old, I guess he was 19 at the time, like, he didn't graduate with us. He graduated the year before, but
Right.
but went on this Cancun trip with me. And it was like,
Mhm.
it was kind of like mine and Jason's like trip. We were like pretty much the 2 of us the whole time, going and running and having a good time. But Jason and I were at a bar in downtown Cancun, not at the resort. And I said, Jason, I'll buy you all the tequila that it takes for you to go get your tongue pierced. Because he had jokingly said, I think I'm going to get my tongue pierced. And we proceeded to shoot tequila at this bar in downtown Cancun. And the next thing you know, like the sketchiest place in maybe in the country of Mexico, Jason Chrisman went and got his tongue pierced in Mexico, and like got infected, and like his tongue was swollen. He couldn't talk. Like it. I mean, there's so much from that trip, but that is like one of the things that I'm like, yes. Long answer. Cancun was really fun. Very different this time around.
Yeah.
Than the last time I was in Cancun, but it was a good trip. I don't know that Cancun's what I would pick for my vacation spot. Maybe. I think flying into Cancun would be fine. You know, you fly in there and maybe go to Playa del Carmen or somewhere else. But Cancun to me was like a very Panama City Beach like. Sorry to the Tourism Bureau of Panama City Beach, but
nothing but high-rise condos and big resorts.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing but giant resorts, and it's very American, like so American. I mean, there's like a Ruth Chris, there's like, you know, Margaritaville, there's like all this American stuff.
Yeah,
in Cancun, it's like Pigeon Forge in Mexico or something.
But are the beaches any better than the United States beaches?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the water is absolutely gorgeous, like a different color of blue than anywhere on our Gulf Coast. And I think I say our, like I live there, but like, you know,
when the water's right on the Gulf.
Yeah. If the water's, if you're down in Navarre Beach and, you know, looking at it would be really hard to complain about that water. So, but the Cancun water was pretty great.
Yeah.
Sand was, I didn't remember the sand being so soft.
Oh.
Like plush and soft, and like that was really cool. The food
maybe the sand was changed out since last time.
Because of my age, I don't remember what the sand was like.
Yeah. We're not worried about soft sand at 18.
Yeah.
That's the last thing.
I know what kamikazes tasted like. Like it, I did, you know, something that was funny also thinking about the 18, it was this all inclusive, all the food, all the stuff. And, you know, there's a mini fridge that's got beers and some Cokes and stuff like that. And that was part of it. And we get there and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have a beer when we got checked in the room. And I opened the beer and take a sip and notice, I was like, huh, that's funny. The label on the can says 18 plus, you know, and I'm like, I think it's very loose 18, but it was funny to see, you know,
legal drinking age is 18.
Yeah. The legal drinking age is 18. Not that they really care, I don't think, but, but it was funny to see that when, you know, you grow up here and it's 21 and but it was a fun trip.
Good. Well, I think today we're going to talk a little bit about prospecting.
Okay.
Right?
Digging for gold.
I mean, I can tell you right now, not everybody loves to prospect, right? I think prospecting can be a chore for a lot of people.
I think in the traditional sense, if you think of the traditional definition of prospecting, I think most sales folks don't like it. I mean, I can think back through my career. I don't think anybody really enjoyed the mandatory prospect.
Yeah, show me one sales rep that's like, yes, prospect time. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. There's probably a few out there.
But are there? I mean, they should be. Yeah. You should be. But I mean, in some way, shape, or form, you should look forward to prospecting because you are looking for business. So you're looking for paychecks, basically. Yeah.
And prospecting can go for not just the sales person, but it could go for business owners, right? Decision makers.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has to prospect in their life, whether you're lining up your next candidate to hire your next customer, right?
Yep.
To build revenue on. I mean, there's your next girlfriend or spouse, right?
Will.
That's
Will,
prospecting.
pay attention. Prospecting.
I mean, you're also prospecting for your next car, your next vehicle,
Yeah,
in some form
in
or
a
fashion,
sense, you probably are.
right? So I think proper ways of prospecting and thinking about it and knowing how to strategically use the tools at your disposal are good for anybody, whether
Right.
you're a salesperson or not, right? And I think, if anything, that's kind of our goal today is to talk about those things and make people feel a little more comfortable about prospecting
Yeah.
or to level up their game and where they're at today. Um, I'd say there's probably about 6 different forms of prospecting. One of the ones that I think gets overused the most in today's day and age is email prospecting. And, you think back to earlier in our careers, let's say mid 2000s, right? Emailing was just starting to get used in business, right? It was the now tool.
I think it was a couple things. Is I think back to 2006 or 7, and emailing may have been a more effective tool because it was harder to get somebody's. It was harder to get a decision maker's email address.
Yeah.
Where today, it's hard to hide your email address.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about us. I mean, how many prospecting emails do you get a day?
Too many. That's
Me too.
I'm clearing 10, 20 of them every morning.
Which ones do you respond to?
None of them.
None of them. Me either.
If someone is I will say if someone is creative enough and it's not a blanket copy and paste email,
Which it is 99.
99, that's the problem, is they're all automated.
Yep.
We'll get to that. But if they actually craft it, they're genuine, right? And they tell me the purpose of the email and how the time that they're going to spend with me is going to be worth it in the end and why, right?
Or
Or
that person emails you and says, Jason, so-and-so asked me to reach out to you.
very true. But that's got to be legit, right?
It's got to be legit. Or if somebody prospects me and says, hey, Chad, Jason said I should reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to respond to that.
Holds
more.
validity. If you're like, yeah, I like the guy he mentioned.
Yes.
I know that person
Yes.
truly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it's a financial person and one of your buddies is like, I got to get this guy off the phone. Here, email Chad.
Yeah, Chad's got some money. Go sell him financial services.
Which I don't. I don't have any
But
money.
remember back in the day on email when we were actually pumped up and happy about getting an email?
Yeah.
Like we didn't get very many emails back in the early mid 2000s.
Yeah, I can think like most of the time.
We didn't use it for prospecting back then. It was like faxing is now.
Yeah, not really. We didn't
know?
really. Most of the time, email was probably more internal stuff.
It was. Yeah.
For the most part,
Internal communication.
It was internal. I can think. That was like probably the height of my career at Verizon, or going into the height of my career at Verizon, and most of your emails were company emails.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't outbound. Especially leaving the retail side, I can tell you, I don't think we ever sent a outbound email outside of a VZW email address.
Very true. Yeah, you were calling people usually at
Yeah.
that time. I think emailing, from a prospecting standpoint, still has its place and its purpose. I do think it's greatly overused. The fact that there's the AI, the robots out there that send the automated
writing
emails
it for you.
writing it for you. There's a lot of tools out there where people are taking multiple domains outside of their normal domain, throwaway domains, let's say, and they're using those just to send out blanking prospect emails, like you mentioned. And those, to me, those are a waste of time. You got to make it valuable. And like I said, every now and then a well-crafted email to me is going to get my attention, but it's got to be a referral, like you said, or it's got to be something just hits on at that moment what I'm looking for, and I see the value in it. And I think, timing is everything, right? With prospecting, and you got to time it accurately, right? And it's got to be a well-crafted email. That's what's going to get attention from decision makers. So I still think it's valid today, but it's overused. And I think in the future, right, today and on, there's going to be newer and better ways to prospect. A lot of those are going to be centered around using AI. And then I think good old traditional referrals and cold calling events, right? All those kind of things are still going to be top of mind.
So I think you're right. I think the piece of that stands out to me is, the good old fashioned way of doing business. I think the larger or bigger our world grows, the smaller it gets at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the more important that those personal relationships are to get those warm intros so that you're like empty or cold prospecting is ineffective. Whether like I look at the list that we've got written down and none of those are effective without, some kind of warm, unless you just get lucky and you're on time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean on time in the sense that you're there at 12 o'clock.
Right.
I mean on time in a sense that the particular client or prospect is looking for something that you offer
Right.
at that time. And I think you would agree that's just luck.
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of tools that you can pay for now that's going to say, hey, this customer looked at this yesterday.
Yeah.
Reach out to them.
Yeah.
Right. And do you say that that's still a cold reach, a cold email, a cold call, even though they're interested in something?
The reason that I still think that's cold. So we've talked about, purchasing some of the software for us, and I still think it's cold. And the reason that I think it's cold is because everybody can purchase that.
Mm-hmm.
It would be different if one of those services locked down a vertical or locked down a certain segment. Oh, okay. This is, for us, for example, if NexGen buys it, then these domains are locked or this type of customer's locked. But that's not the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think of unified communications as a service, if that's our target audience is to present that to a client, if we go out and buy the product that's going to tell us when Will's tattoo shop is looking for unified communications, and so does the other technology company, so does all the direct reps at each of these technology providers. Now, the second that Will clicks on that information, now we all get it.
Yeah.
That it's not a leg up.
Yeah.
In that sense, like those companies will probably never sponsor our podcast now that they know my opinion. But I feel that way. I feel like,
yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Back in the days when I was in the financial mortgage business, we subscribed to a lead thing. I think it was like Lending Tree or something. You remember those websites you could go to, you put your information in?
yeah.
Well, there was probably 20, 40, 50 mortgage offices that would buy that. And you knew as soon as you got one of those in, you had to make that call faster than the other guy across the street.
Yes. Or the guy in the cubicle next to you.
So
I think that's my problem with it is I think where I stand on this whole world of prospecting, that I think everything boils down to the relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship with the decision maker or the relationship with the person that's over this project, but it's the relationships that tie everything together.
Can you develop relationships through cold calling?
I think it's got to start somewhere.
Right. How do you start a relationship? Some people
Right.
are going to be out there saying, okay, Chad, well, how do I build a relationship?
I think it's got to start somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
whether it's you want to be friends with somebody, or you're looking for Chad's relationship advice on how to get a girlfriend. It's gotta start somewhere,
Right.
right? Like,
So if you're a young salesperson,
Yeah.
let's say fresh out of college, you're 22, 23, right? You get your first job, I don't know, let's say at one of the Fortune 50 companies as a business rep,
yeah,
right? And for the first 6 months, you're tasked to cold call 50 people a day.
yeah,
Pretty common, right? Straight out
Yeah.
of college,
yeah. I'd
and
say
a
so.
Fortune 50 company, Fortune 100 company, they're going to say, all right, here's your list, right?
Yeah.
I want you to cold call on this. I expect you to get 2 or 3 meetings today.
Yeah,
Very common, right?
yeah.
So how does that 22, 23-year-old that's making 50 cold calls in a day, having to document what they're doing, right?
Probably
Making a list,
hungover.
probably hungover,
Yeah,
right? But they're 22, so they're okay. They're getting by.
yeah,
But besides, us 40-year-olds that struggle a little bit more.
yeah.
So how did they build a relationship on that first cold call? Can they even do it?
On one cold call, I think the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
I think that answer is completely is 100%. Well, can't be 100% of the time. No, I think more often than not, it's going to be no.
I agree with you 100%. So it's
However-
never going to be that first call.
No. However, there are breadcrumbs to be laid, right? Like
Mhm.
if I'm that guy prospecting into us, right? I don't know. I think we've carried the bag and still carry the bag. Like we're still involved daily in some sort of sales process. So if those young folks are prospecting in and wanting to do business with us, I mean, it happens. We get people that are wanting to partner with us, and I will tell you, the folks that most of the time you can find a relatability, or the quicker you can find some kind of relatability,
Mm-hmm.
the quicker you can find some common ground,
Yeah.
the better off you are. And
Agree.
it does initially, I don't think it has to be business, right? Because everybody wants to sell them something. But if you genuinely, something that used to work for me a lot of times I think about in the Verizon world, would be when you actually cared to learn more about somebody's business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I won't say like I don't want to shadow you, but a colleague and I would call, and part of our prospecting pitch would be, we want to learn about how you're doing business today. And if there are ways that we could make your business more productive,
Mm-hmm.
reduce cost, whatever. Once you get into the business conversation, those are the ways to me, like that can help fast track
Yeah.
a little bit of that. But I think that guy's got to find some common ground.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. Find common ground instantly as soon as you can on the phone call. Be eager, like you said, to learn about their business.
Yep.
Want to learn about their business, and then the breadcrumbs, right? One of the things I used to say early on in my career when I used to have to do cold calling is I would say, hey, I know this is a first call and we're not instantly going to be friends today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to gain your trust today, but just know this is the start of a relationship. I'm going to earn your trust over time.
hopefully I can earn your trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think if you're genuine and approaching a call that way with somebody you don't know, you've never met in person, I think that's the way to gain trust and validity right off the bat. And that's the way you have to look at it, right? As a young salesperson or someone that's cold calling, you cannot expect to win that person over on that first call.
No.
You have to know that it's going to take steps, and there's not instant success every time you speak with someone.
No. If there is instant success, it's probably luck.
To get to the next level should be the success.
Yeah.
Like call two,
Yeah,
meeting
call
two.
two, or they agree to meet you, or, I think part of what you said, I think whether it's an email, a cold call, or door knocking or whatever, I think where I stand on a lot of things, and maybe people listening don't, but the more true to who you are and just authentic, genuine, that to me resonates, whether it is via an email, a phone call, whether somebody knocks on the office door. The less I think I can pick up. You want to get ready to bleep me? I think I can find I've got a very good bullshit me. Like
Will was late.
Will was so late. I really wanted to use it. So, but I do. I feel like whether it's a relationship, whatever you're doing, I feel like I can pick up on bullshit real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, for the most part, somebody that's in a leadership role that's going to make a decision that you're going to want to do business with, they probably got a good meter themselves.
Yeah, they've been there. They've been through it.
And if they don't have a good meter, they're probably not going to be in their role very long.
Right. Absolutely.
So authenticity, to me, should be the key to everything somebody does, but especially in prospecting.
Yep. So good stuff on cold calling. I think, again, the key to success on cold calling, build some kind of instant credibility or commonality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't treat it as a one call close, right? Look to build trust and value, and look for that second meeting or second call,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's your win. And then just be yourself, right? Be genuine.
I think so.
Right? That's the key.
I think
I
so.
believe, right? Plus, you obviously got to have something they're interested in, right? So you got to have a good opening line, and
something.
It's got to be the right product or the right service, right?
You got to introduce yourself, right? Like maybe that's another episode is how we would
elevator
introduce
pitch.
Yeah, and I think you and I both have sat through every form of sales training. I think back in the Verizon days, it was like if you were there long enough, you went through multiple like Axiom sales training. You went through all these things, and now those people aren't going to sponsor our podcast, but I don't know that if any of the whole programs, the programs as a whole, are something that I would buy into. But if you take bits and pieces from all of them, there's probably some relevance. But then at the end of all these tactics, there's got to be some real value that you're providing.
Yeah,
and you've got to be authentic.
Yep, I agree. So there's a lot to that point, man. There's a lot of sales companies that are coming in and pitching their product, right? And they're all about, hey, take this step, that step.
Yes.
If you get this leg up, go here.
Yes.
Right.
If then that.
If then that.
Yeah.
Right. And I see all of that, and that's still not building the trust that we're talking about.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, Jason?
Exactly.
How does that impact your business?
Or it's, I got to go home and talk to my wife.
Yeah.
Do you? or it's
you can get aggressive there.
Yeah.
So your wife is the decision maker.
Exactly. People are trained.
Yeah.
To come back with those statements.
Yes.
And, it's still not building what they are leading on is emotions.
Yes.
They're selling on
for sure
emotion. It's like buying a car, right? That's the emotional buying. You're trying to get somebody on the emotions of buying that vehicle.
By the way, I strongly feel this way. I have never sold cars at a dealership for a living, right? Like never been my source of income to sell vehicles. And I think I could go teach car salespeople how to effectively do their job tomorrow. Like we could do a whole YouTube series on if a dealership would just let me help their people.
Yeah.
Because I think anytime you've bought a vehicle from a car dealership, it's been, and we've got some dealership clients, and maybe they'll take me up on it. But like, oh man, when you get a good one, when you get a car sales guy that's good,
Yeah.
like you know they're good, and you want to hang on to them,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to like, oh, it doesn't matter the brand. You're like, okay, well, I'll just buy from this guy because he's not a jackleg.
Yeah, I don't know if it's always the training there or it's about getting good talent a lot of times. And it's probably very difficult to get really good talent in the car sales business.
Yeah, maybe today.
I think it would be, right?
You know, I think back to like some of the people that have been so good that I've known in the car bit. Like, I think my relationship with Richard Suter, he became like an older brother to me, and he was in the car business for most of his life. And like some would say, yeah, he was the typical car salesman, right? But he wasn't. Like everybody that walked in that dealership thought they were buddies with Suter. Whether you really were or not, like he made them feel like
the only person that cared.
The only person that cared.
Yeah.
Felt like they're getting the best friend deal, right? They felt like their service department's going to treat them like, oh, you're one of us now. So, and I think that ties back into, prospecting, in that, like, if you build that and you build that rapport, it prospecting becomes easier.
Yeah. Well, prospecting, I think, is the toughest for a young professional.
Yeah.
Right? Because they haven't made a name for themselves yet.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have referrals. Right? And those are the people that are doing number one and number two, right? Emailing and cold calling.
For sure.
To try to establish trust. Right? So, us talking about the best ways to establish that trust and best way to go about it, because we've been there, is what we're trying to talk about and get back on.
Struck out, failed, succeeded.
Oh, yeah. Well, number one, if you're going to be a salesperson, you have to be able to be okay being told no. Right?
1,000% agree.
Because it's going to happen.
Yes.
Time in and time out.
Yes.
You're going to get that one person that, no, I'm not interested, whatever. And you're going to be like, I know you're really interested. Just hear me out.
Yeah. If you would just freaking listen.
Exactly. But you got to be okay with, that person's not the right one for me. And back to the personality thing, right? And putting yourself out there, being genuine. I think the number one thing in sales that I've learned over the course of 20 years is you want to attract the people that want to do business with you, that like you for who you are. Right?
Yes.
Like Chad doesn't want to be doing business with somebody that he just doesn't get along with. Right?
No, I think you know that. I don't know that. I mean, I've said for the longest time, and maybe it's not even I don't know that people have to like me, but I want to do business with people that see the value. All right. I mean, if somebody doesn't see the value in what we do, then they're probably not the right client.
Right.
It's not going to, like, it can be very transactional that way, where if they don't get the value in what we do or in the value in us, then we're probably going to do one project, if that.
Yeah.
They're not going to, the bottom of our list, the referral, they're probably not going to refer you.
Right.
If they don't get the whole piece of the puzzle. So.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think about social media selling in 2024? Do you think it's the future? Do you think it's a fad? Do salespeople have to be on social media daily to keep up?
No. I think you put that one on there because you want to know mine.
No, the reason why I say that, I think a lot of salespeople struggle on, well, I see 5 other sales guys that post 3 times a day on Facebook and do this and do that. I know they're getting more business than me. Do I have to do that too?
I think the answer is no. but I don't want to say it's an emphatic no because, Will, I 100% blame Jason that I have Facebook. Like I would had never had a Facebook account ever in my 43 years of life until,
It hasn't been around for 43 years.
well, I feel like it has because the people that are on it,
Like mid 2000s, but late 2000s.
and that's what it's like, I don't care about what you ate for lunch today or like, so I have this tainted view of Facebook. And when I go on there, this is such a good topic to discuss. Like this could be maybe its own episode.
Rightfully tainted.
Yes. Yes. Like, so I don't know I'm going to go into this and say that I don't know the right answer with social media.
I think it's still in discovery a little bit.
Maybe. But I can tell you what I see on social media, and I don't want to really put this out here too much because I might get like burned at the stake. But what I see on social media, like on a Facebook feed, is industries and or verticals that it's the same people posting the same stuff all the time in search of business, right? I think some try to be authentic and some try to do it right. But when I see it, I'm just like, oh, great. Another X is posting about their day with,
But are you maybe not their buyer? And they have 10,000 other people that want to see that and are their buyer.
I'm probably not their buyer. I'm a bah humbug when it comes to that. But I also want something when I want it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably a me thing. I don't want something sold to me, which is really weird from a salesperson. However, if it were the right time, maybe I could be. I know that's very vague, but I see certain industries and that's all they do is post on Facebook. And it's just like this constant barrage. Like I could not open Facebook for 2 weeks and I could tell you what certain users have posted over that 2-week period.
Yeah. Well, there's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? I think they're all a little different, but
I do too.
I think I've got a little different view of social media. I think marketing is marketing, and whether it's a billboard sign, an advertisement in a magazine, a advertisement, paid promotion on Facebook, I think the companies have multiple ways to touch you as a buyer today, which is a great thing.
I mean, we're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast that's going to be all over social media, right? So we're touching a newer audience, more people than we've ever been able to touch before. That to me is the beauty of social media. Now, do you need to tell people 3 times a day that you sell houses? You know what I mean?
You went there because I find it laughable, right?
Well, I mean, that's one industry where you could maybe overkill what you do, right?
Yes.
Now, can you be relatable on social media with relatable material and not overdo it? And at the end of the day, people find out that you're a real estate agent and want to do business with you? That's the right approach?
I think it probably is. I don't know. I'm not a real estate agent, so there's probably some real estate agent that's posting stuff on Facebook every day that's making a killing, right?
Yeah, maybe they are to the outside buyers, or they're grabbing business that they wouldn't have had otherwise. I think maybe it'd be a great idea to have a couple of real estate agents on and interview them about that, right? Maybe the non-social media agent and the social media agent.
Yeah, I know
right?
some. I think we should. I'll reach out and get somebody on. But
I know this. I know salespeople that aren't on social media at all, and I know salespeople that are on social media. And I can tell you that there are groups of both of them that are hugely successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're in the right kind of industry and you know how to use social media to your advantage, you could do really well.
Yeah.
But there's other industries where you don't really need to be on social media.
Yes, I agree.
And it's outside relationships, and it's, you know, the leads you're getting in or existing customers, whatever it is. And you don't need to put yourself out there 3-4 times a day on social media.
But I think to that real estate world, they probably need to be on there, right? Like they probably in some capacity need that. We've got an idea for a show now. Like we need to pick their brain, see what they think.
I think if we're going back to real estate, I think the problem with real estate is it's such a competitive market, and you're trying to differentiate yourself amongst 1,000 other agents in Middle Tennessee.
Yep.
And how do you do that to a large audience? Well, you use a free tool called Facebook.
Yep.
And so I get why they do it. It's just, they got to be different, right?
Yeah.
I think the key to social media, if you're going to use social media for prospecting, is learn to be genuine and different.
Yep.
Right? Be different. Put out good content, right? I think the real estate agents that kind of grab my attention on social media is the ones that put out great video content over houses that they're touring.
I would agree 1,000%.
Like if they're showing me this badass crib and it's got something that just looks awesome, I'm like, oh, I'm going to look at this now.
I might watch that.
I might watch that.
Speaking of houses and real estate and new houses, I have some useless information.
Hit me, Will.
All right. So when they build sewers for houses or upgrade sewers for older houses, they need to know how big to make the sewers, right?
Yep.
So they need to measure like what the peak flow is so that they can have the sewer that's wide enough so that it can accommodate that. Do you know how in America they measure peak flow?
Oh, I should know this. I spent time in that world a little bit. I don't know. Tell me.
Halftime at the Super Bowl.
No kidding.
Literally. That is how they measure peak flow of the sewer system.
Wow.
Is halfway during the Super Bowl, which makes so much sense.
Well, yeah.
That's when the population is using the restroom the most. Okay.
That's a good one. Hey, speaking of sewer systems, did you know if you drive due south from Detroit, you'll end up in Canada?
Oh, like how the land goes up under it?
Due south of Detroit is Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I like geography.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too.
Yep.
That's a good fact. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, appreciate that. So social media, I think maybe the listeners don't know, but I want my Instagram to be I'm a probably not out there on social media from a business, from what I do in business, right? Like I'm more of that's my personal space. I may share more I probably click reshare on Facebook and like the company stuff. To me, I've reserved that more for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I do think LinkedIn is still a space where it does work. I mean, I have clients that have communicated with me through LinkedIn. So I still think I would consider it, we're a little bit different because being in a we're considered a small business. So maybe some of that Facebook stuff bleeds over a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know that Instagram is that important to us as a business.
Right. I think Instagram consumer-based products.
For sure.
Right. SMB, professional services on Facebook, right? Professional services, you could put real estate, right?
Yeah.
Mortgages.
The right real estate agent on Instagram is a good follow.
Yeah, like grass care.
Yeah, man.
Weed care, all that kind of stuff, right? That's the kind of
or
good
Yeti.
Place. Or Yeti.
Right? Like you think of Yeti coolers and they're going to have a good Instagram or, something that has a tangible physical product.
Universities do a great job on Instagram.
Yeah. Or, sports
teams.
That kind of stuff.
LinkedIn B2B, right? So if you're in B2B like we are, LinkedIn is going to be your top place, right? That's where you're going to interact with more of your client base, more of your prospects. So I think if you're in the B2B space, I would have said 1 to 2 years ago, LinkedIn wasn't used enough as much as it should have been.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I think now the cold DMs and everything going on LinkedIn.
Just keep getting more and more.
More and more. I think the newness of LinkedIn has wore off, and it's becoming a little bit of a prospecting haven.
Yes.
And new salespeople out there, try not to use LinkedIn for prospecting unless you're going to cater a really good intro email or intro DM, right?
Or like we've said throughout this entire discussion, there's a warm intro.
There's a warm. Yeah. You know what?
And
I
maybe
don't
asking for a warm intro.
asking for what I don't even like. I would not recommend doing any kind of cold DM on LinkedIn.
No.
Build a following on LinkedIn, right? Add connections, build a following, put out educational content over your specialty of what you do, right? But don't put out sell stuff. Like,
No.
don't sell people on LinkedIn. Just put out information on what you do and then comment on people's posts, right? Actually comment on and comment on their post and add value. I think that's the benefit on LinkedIn. That's how people should be using it today. Real quick, a few other things we had on there. Door knocking. You think that's dead? I mean, that's mostly, it could be B2B, business to consumer. You get, the occasional pest control guy or
I don't want to be
AT&T guy at your house.
I don't want to be door knocked.
Would you ever buy from anybody?
Probably not.
I know there's still a lot of door knocking going on out there.
I mean, we live in a part of the country that continues to get hit by storms and tornadoes, and I can tell you that I cannot count the amount of roofing companies that have been through my neighborhood trying to sell us a roof because it can be covered. I don't like, personally, I don't love door knocking.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's dead for certain product lines.
I don't think it is.
I really don't.
The roofer at the right time, that's a presentable salesperson.
Yeah, could
get
be
business.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think even for maybe a landscaper, like if I were a young person trying to get into that world, instead of sticking a card on a mailbox, I may try to knock doors and introduce myself and look presentable, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm not talking have a load of mulch on your trailer and say, hey, I can put this out for you for $300 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking pull into someone's driveway, walk up with a nice t-shirt with your logo or a polo with your logo, look like somebody, introduce them to you and what you do. Like, I think that may play in a residential space.
I think it could. They never do it though.
They never do it.
But if I had a presentable lawn care landscape guy come up to my door and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that
I'm in the area.
I'm new. If you need your trees trimmed, your shrubs trimmed, mulch,
I'm more likely to give that guy a shot than the guy who left his paper with all his services stuffed on my mailbox.
Yes.
Or
that's just throwaway.
That's throwaway.
Throwaway. Yeah. Make the extra effort. Not that you're trying to sell them, just to say hello.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to remember that person in the spring or fall.
No doubt.
When I want to have that done. Right.
Or at least they made an impression on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's underused, but I don't believe door knocking is dead. I think it's got to be the right product, right timing, and you got to have presentable people.
Yes.
The most annoying door knocking to me is the pest control stuff.
Oh gosh.
It's like, how many times?
Yeah.
And what new pest control company is out this week?
They got a bunch of them.
Right?
Everybody's got bugs, I guess.
So, I mean, I get it. People are scared about roaches, spiders, and people will pay money to get rid of those pests. So I get it.
A big business, I'm sure, right?
But,
But it is a little overplayed, the number of that and the internet people. Like, there's certain companies that still send their people out door to door trying to sell you internet.
Yep, absolutely. I think the right timing on that, if you're going to do it, is if AT&T just laid fiber on your street and you know that neighborhood's only had Comcast for 10 years, for example,
then that is the right time.
then, hey, I'm in the area. Just want to let you know we just put down
Yes.
fiber. Are you interested in making a change? If so, here's our new pricing and plans.
Or another like our area, a power company is putting fiber in. They should absolutely, once that's installed, go and introduce their stuff.
Yep. I think the right way to do it is introducing,
Yep.
laying out, hey, here's what we've done.
Yes.
Here's the value it's going to bring you. I just wanted to provide you this information. By the way, do you have any questions about it?
Yeah. What questions do you have? You know,
That's all you got to do. And
here's my information. Call me with questions, or
Yep.
if you're interested to know more.
Yep.
Don't try to sell me on day one.
Yep. It's not 5 no's and I'm off your doorstep.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yep. I would say that's a no.
I think one of the biggest, and I think you would agree with this, in our careers, right, where we're at today, where more tenured professionals want to be, is going to be with partnerships and referrals.
Could not agree more.
Right? When you're, I mean, that's in the prospecting realm, but instead of cold emailing, cold calling, social media 3-4 times a day, what if you could just be the business professional that gets partnerships brought to them and referrals brought to them because they've done the right thing for 10, 20 years in business.
Or because, or you worked on a project with this person 6 months ago and they did a really good job.
Yep.
You know, to me, you know, it goes back, and as much as I make fun of the Facebook thing, it's very similar to when someone poses a question on Facebook and says, anybody know a good landscaper or hairstylist or place to eat sushi or whatever? People want a recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to take those recommendations from folks that they trust. And business works the same way. You know, if I'm sitting down talking to a friend of mine and they're like, hey, do you know, I mean, we get it today. We get some of our clients wanting to know if we know anybody in low voltage wiring, or if we know anybody in, hey, do you know a pest guy? You know, I mean, we get random questions, or what's the first thing, if we get a vendor come in from out of town, one of the first things they ask us is where they should eat.
Absolutely.
Right. So business is no different.
No different.
So I think of all those, of the 5, of the emailing, cold calling, social media, door knocking, partnerships and referrals, if you can get to if and when you get to that last phase of partnership, referral type business, you're winning on a rate. And I'm not saying you don't have to do the others.
Yeah.
But it is a whole lot less important, or when you do those, they're more effective because that other layer is added on top of it.
Yeah. Well, I think to the young salespeople out there that are just getting started, or maybe they're 2-3 years in, ideally they're looking at that tenured sales rep and they're seeing that, hey, they don't have to make the calls, they don't have to do this.
That guy don't do shit, and he gets all the business.
Yeah. How does he close? And hit 200% quota? How's he doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I would say to that person is, number one, you got to put in the time. Your first 1, 2, 3 years, do the training, do everything that you're supposed to do on calling, on emailing, working on building the relationships, right? And you do all of that and you hustle hard the first 2 or 3 years, your referrals and your partnerships are going to come, right?
For sure.
And then the great thing about, relationships and sales in general is, you can probably vouch for me on this, Chad, but every 5 to 7 years, everything turns back around again.
For sure.
Right? So, your first 5 to 7 years in business, think of those relationships, everything you built, right? All of that is going to double or triple in another 5 to 7 years. And everything you did that first 5, 7 years you're going to do it again with the same customers.
Yep.
They're going to move. They're going to change jobs. You're going to build new relationships with new companies.
Yes.
Right. So, do the right thing, build the relationship first, develop great partnerships, referral partners, right? By being trustworthy, by being a man or lady of your word, right?
True,
That's number one.
genuine, authentic.
Yep. And just know the partnerships and referrals are not going to come day one. It's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get there.
And also know that like you're going to screw things up every now and then. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like something is going to happen.
Well, we're not brain
inevitably.
surgeons,
Yeah.
are we?
No.
Yeah. It doesn't make
You don't want me to
make
do
a
that.
mistake. It's
Uh-uh,
okay.
no.
I
Yeah.
tell my new people all the time, make mistakes. I
Yeah.
know you're trying if you make mistakes.
It's
it can be
okay.
fixed.
Yeah, it's okay.
We can credit something back. We can
We
fix something.
figure it out.
We're not working on nerves and brains and all that stuff.
Nobody's dying.
Nobody died.
Yeah,
Right?
nobody's
Nobody's died. So, hey, by the way, I've got a joke for you. Is it okay if Jason tells a joke?
Absolutely. Hit me.
Okay. What did the duck say when it bought chapstick?
What did the duck? Well, he has no lips. What did he say?
Put it on the bill.
Ah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dad tells, or Jason tells a dad joke. So go home, tell your kids that. They'll love it.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you being a duck guy, you would like that.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have lips. They do have bills. So
Yeah.
I had to be somewhere.
You just put it on the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
it.
I get it.
Okay. All right. So that I know was number one for us, partnerships, referrals. That's
Yeah.
where we're at in our day and age of career. Now, granted, we still do emailing, we'll still call people. We have our people do it, right? You have to in an organization,
Yeah.
but we're at partnerships, referrals, right? Because we've done things the right way
Yeah.
over years.
I agree.
The last thing that I think I've had some success with it over in my career. I think you probably have too, but trade shows and events, whether it's a chamber event, a technology council event, a Las Vegas trade show, an Orlando trade show over a certain industry. I've worked those in the past in my careers, and I went there focused that I was going to meet people, build
Mhm.
relationships, bring business cards back, and develop trust and partnerships over time with those. I'll tell one story of that. Hopefully the guys listening to this, but I met a guy by the name of Michael years ago at a trade show in Vegas early in my career. It was a technology trade show, and I was at a booth, right? We had like a 10 by 10 booth, and I was standing on one corner of the, what I'm talking about? Like you had your carpet here. I was standing on that one corner, and people walk by your booth and they kind of got their head down.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't want to look you in the eyes, right? And the guy comes over, he locks eyes on me. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? I instantly just introduce myself. I'm Jason Baxter. I'm from blah, blah, blah. Where are you from? Right. We start to talk. And, I learned about what he did, where he was from. At that time, he lived in Texas, and he worked for a major airline. And, we kind of traded information. We built a little bit of a relationship there. And, fast forward 12, 15 years, right? I start my company. We're still in touch. He ends up being one of my first customers.
Yeah.
Right. So, that trade show where I stepped outside, the area, went outside my comfort zone, actually talked to somebody, right? Worked to build a relationship. Because a lot of the people that are walking those floors, they're there because, hey, they might not be extroverts, but they really want to get to know people and meet people and talk to people.
You took the time to be personal and create a relationship. I think that's like it goes back to the whole process. That's why it works. You didn't try to like win him on the first date.
Yes.
And
we're all, the thing that we have to understand in business and life and prospecting is we're all people. We're all humans.
Yeah.
We all want to build a connection with somebody.
In
right?
some capacity.
Some capacity. You got to find that common ground, right? The relatable details and information between the two. So I think trade shows and events are great only if you're going there with an intent to work it.
And I would
put in
say,
the time.
you and I think we think similarly on trade shows. I really like the idea of if I were advising somebody, it would be like maybe an industry specific trade show where the product or service that you offer could be at a premium, or maybe there's not much competition there
Absolutely.
where you can where you like in the end game, you can differentiate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's 20 other vendors doing the same thing,
You probably, you're not going to set yourself apart there.
Mhm.
But if you go into that same trade show and you're the only guy or one of another, it allows you to, cast a little more spotlight on yourself.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Well, hey, it's time for the podium, I think.
Okay.
You ready to go to the podium?
I'm ready.
All right, man. So this week, what we're going to do for the podium talk is we're going to go with the top 3
Mm-hmm.
live sporting events.
Yeah. And this is our opinion, right? Like what?
100%.
Yeah.
It's all opinion based.
Yeah. Because I think people aren't going to agree with all this, but
Yeah. So we will agree that sports on TV versus live sports can be different,
yes.
right? And so
Yes.
that's why we're stating live sporting events
Live
for this
sporting
one.
event.
Okay. So I'll get us kicked off. Top 3 live sporting events. Number 3 for me, I'm going to go with basketball as number 3.
Okay.
Okay. Whether that's college or NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really like watching basketball on TV unless it's, let's say, the Sweet 16 or college, NCAA tournament in general.
Yep.
Maybe the NBA playoffs. Other than that, I dislike NBA or basketball on TV, but I love watching basketball in person.
Yeah.
It's much more exciting. So that's my number 3.
Yeah. That's a good number 3 for sure. I would agree that I don't, outside of March Madness, basketball's kind of lost its luster for me. I mean, we're kids that grew up with Jordan, so I think we continue to talk about that. So
Yep.
Jordan and Kobe, that was a different era of the NBA and probably more fun to watch.
Absolutely.
I would number 3 for me is, I would say that it's I got to be really specific when I say this. It would have to be an NFL like a divisional, like a true rival game.
Okay. So a divisional rivalry or a playoff
Yes.
game maybe or something?
Yeah, playoff game. It cannot
Okay.
be. So as much of a great product as I think the NBA is
Mm-hmm.
on TV, or I'm sorry, the NFL, it is like probably the best TV product. I mean, their numbers
I would agree.
show it, right?
Yeah,
Like
great
it
TV
is,
product.
yes. But I would tell you that a mundane Titans versus Jets game on Sunday at 12 o'clock at Nissan Stadium is not super exciting
Okay.
to me.
Yeah.
However, a playoff or divisional has a different feel to it. So that would be my number 3.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 for me, I'm going to say would be MLS or soccer in general.
Okay.
Okay. Soccer on TV, not that exciting. I'm a big soccer fan. I have kids that play soccer, kind of growing up in it. And for me, I'm a season ticket holder as well for Nashville SC for the MLS. So I prefer to be in person to watch soccer, right? Kids, professional, whatever it is. I really enjoy watching soccer live. And I think the MLS has a really good product, and I enjoy watching it live. That's number 2 for me.
Yeah, I would tell you as a non-soccer person in any stretch of the imagination that I have enjoyed the soccer game, like going to a soccer game. The experience is way better than I expected it to be. It's not going to be in my top 3,
That's all right. I got it in my top 3, so
But-
it's all good.
but yeah, it's not going to be in my top 3. We should maybe create a poll and let people vote and see who wins.
I think the experience is great
Yeah.
for Nashville SC. The
good.
stadium, the vibe, you know, the end zone area, right? The cheering, everything, right? That's
Yeah.
going on. It's just a different vibe. It's a great experience. If you haven't been to a MLS game, you got to go. It's a great experience.
Yep, it is. I would tell you this one is really hard for me to separate. My first and second are extremely hard to like, hey, which one's first, which one's second. I would tell you number two, and this one was really hard for me to one and two. Number two for me is a NASCAR race.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. Live, I would tell you that the Bristol night race,
Mm-hmm.
everybody should go to that. Like non-motorsports people should go to that. I used to tell people all the time, or anybody that'll listen, that if they would let me for like 2 years take over fan experience at NASCAR, I would go to the college campus that is closest to the racetrack. You know, whether if that's Bristol, if I'm going to ETSU or UT Knoxville, and I'm taking about 50 tickets and I'm giving away pit passes and I'm giving away a suite experience and I'm giving it to students like of the freshman and sophomore age group and giving them a NASCAR experience,
Mm-hmm.
the fan base would instantly grow. Instantly.
I would probably be one of those, Chad, because I've never been to a NASCAR race.
Yep.
And I think I would enjoy the experience
Yeah.
and the excitement of it.
On the exterior, it's cars going around in a circle, right?
Yeah.
Like it really is.
It's one of the only experiences I think that lets you in at that level, right?
Yes.
Of like by the car, seeing what's going on behind the scenes.
It's almost weird the access that you can get if you have pit passes.
Yeah. Well, NFL could be similar if you're on the sidelines,
Yeah,
right?
the only thing that would be close enough is if you were cool enough to have a sideline pass to an NFL game, or for some reason you got to be the bat boy at a Major League Baseball game.
Yeah.
That would be the only way to like compare it. So yeah.
Yeah. That's a good number too, man.
Yeah.
So number one for me is going to be, you know, I'm not going to say the NFL, although I've had great experiences at NFL games. Some of my favorite times and best experiences has been seeing hockey live. And I don't really care to watch. Again, this is not a TV thing. It's a live thing.
Yeah.
I don't care to watch hockey on TV. I do love watching live hockey in person, especially our Nashville Predators. Go Preds. And to take it up a notch, if it's a Preds playoff game, it's hard to beat that experience. I mean, you think of over the years of the catfish on the ice, the Taylor Awan beer chugging.
Yeah, that wins. I mean,
think of that hype that the Preds have had over the years for a playoff game. Nothing else has compared.
you know, I think part of what made that so cool is the Titans were really good then too.
Yeah.
So I think it made what Lawan and the group of offensive linemen did at that event magnified it, right? Because it's like, hey, both of these two organizations are like on the same page.
Absolutely.
Like they're both successful right now. They're both on the same page. They're cheering for each other. Like that helps.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Just hockey live's awesome. Love it. Love the sport. What do you got?
I mean, it's my University of Tennessee Vols.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number one,
yeah.
UT Vols.
Yeah. Number one, man.
Seeing the Volunteers in general or a certain sport?
It's football.
Football. Okay.
I mean, as much as the other sports. I would also say, okay, Will, I'm sorry. Will is going to Vanderbilt. They do have a
great
football
school.
They
Great
do
school.
have a football team there. You do know that, right?
Kind of.
Okay, yeah. They do have one, and it is in the SEC.
Yeah.
I would say the SEC football experience, Vanderbilt's doing a lot to improve their facilities right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope they come up to the standard. But I would tell you, live SEC football on a Saturday in the fall is unmatched. It is, and it's not just the game; it's the whole experience. It's the tailgate. It's everything that goes along with it. It's just different.
Yeah, it is a great experience. That's a great number one, Chad. I didn't have that in my top, but I would agree with you. Fantastic experience. And I think you could say that for all of the SEC, right?
Yeah. That's
Except for
I
Vandy.
jokingly,
Except for Vandy, right?
and I jokingly say the University of Tennessee, but I would say that theme applies to college football in general.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to another episode, and that may change a little bit with the NIL, but that currently the atmosphere for Saturdays in SEC countries pretty unmatched.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that concludes our show for today. I hope you guys got something out of our prospecting talk. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yep.